John Bass shot 5 times. This Mason temple's been here since 1873. Buried with their boots on, 1871. Pioche, Nevada. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today we are in Pioche, Nevada. And it was in 1863 when ore samples were taken from this area to Salt Lake City. And that's when the population of Pioche started to grow. So this is off the road going into Pioche. There's an amazing old head frame here. A lot of the metal and ladders and things are still on this head frame. You can see the heavy wires here. And also, right below us, a giant hole where it looks like the ore cars maybe came out of the ground up to this head frame. This one's going to be here for a while. I don't see where these giant timbers that hold this up are going anywhere. This thing is built very stout. There's the old building behind us. This looks like it was the maybe the operation building or something for this. And it's been about 1.5 years since we've been inside. There's some old boilers here behind the trees. Some tanks up here where they had the water running overhead. You can still see the pipes overhead here connected to this boiler tank. And inside, a lot of old mechanisms that operated from these boiler tanks. Evidently, if somebody knows for sure, but it looks like the water would go into the boiler tanks, heat up, and that pressure would help turn and crank this motor inside. And it was belt driven, and this probably helped to drive all the belts and things to help pull up the ore out of the ground from the mining operation. So these foundations that are here, obviously with the giant bolts and things that are on them, something else used to be right here. And it looks like there would be some openings on this side of the building where these belts or the power, the cables went through here and up to that head frame that's just outside the building. You can see right through there, the tin's missing. But there was a giant hole in the roof where I'm sure something went. Right up here, as you can see. And that goes right up through to the head frame. There's a little cabinet here where they used to keep some tools or some things. Nothing in there, but the hinges still work and they don't even creak. Just love this ability. It is just so old. And for a mining town like Pioche, a lot of the things are built in town. This one's outside. I think a lot of people miss this when they're driving into town, because I don't think it's as well known as a lot of the other mining areas in town here. So this one, just up the hill, kind of hidden in the pinyon pines. See a foundation there as well where they had something, probably another motor generator, a big pipe coming out of the ground. And again, some piping. There's big water tanks outside here as well to be able to provide the water for these steam tanks. So this is the back side of the building. You can see right there it's a stack for the steam. And also there's a big, I guess there's a big tank there where probably they had holding water. We'll take a look there. But right up on the hill to the right, it's like a tailing pile or just the diggings from a mine. There's a big hole up there where they've got it fenced off for one of the mines. And then right here on the ground, you're going to see they have the railroad ties that are here. Not sure if they ran ore cars through here, but you can see the way that they're lined up. This looks to me like they would have had ore cars or some kind of a holding here, but Doesn't that look like where they would have a ore car tracks that would go around the hill? Because there's another big mine up the hill here. It's on top of the hill. So here's that big tank. And then this, of course, like a big, some kind of a big stack for steam or smoke. I'm guessing it would be steam. Somebody let me know. If somebody knows the details, put it in the comments below. Just love that, to be able to learn, and also the people that are watching the channel learn as well. But look at that old building on top. Now you can see where the roof was framed out. So something came out of there up to the head frame is what it looks like to me, to build the energy to pull that cable and pull the cars and ore out of that mine. You can tell this was pressurized, the way it was put together, and that is really thick. Yeah, and there's the pipe that ran out of it. Probably provided the pressure to turn those wheels. There's another big pipe coming out over on this side. Right back there. That's the one that went inside and went to this first motor, or this first foundation. You can see the pipe going down, but that first foundation definitely had something big on there. You run a haunted house up here, charge people to come and scare them. Looks like there was a little building here as well. And then this says, gosh, what does that say on there? Oh, Denver, Colorado, Engine Works. So Denver, Colorado Engine Works. That looks like the foundation for something that was there. Maybe another tank was there or something, but look at where it's literally ripped out of here. It's like it fell over, somebody pulled it down. Actually, it looks pretty sound. Would love to see this in operation. I wonder how noisy it was. So I guess these are the ore chutes. You see it. That would pull up and let the ore come out. The cables were all attached to it. Another one here. I try to just dump down this inside where this wood is and just push it right down to this. I imagine there was ore cars and everything right here, or wagons that would back up here and get filled with this. Looks like this would be a chute for something to come down here as well. Oh my gosh. You see how deep this goes?
I can't really see.
Let me see. It's really dark, but
Oh, man, it does.
that goes way down, straight down. I've got a rock. You might be able to hear how deep that is. I'll throw it in there and see. Oh,
Did it hit?
Still going.
Ooh.
That little piece made all that noise?
That's far.
Where did it hit on the way down? It's like it knocked something else down. I'm going to do it again. That was crazy. It's whatever it hit is knocking more down below. All right, so we are standing at a major head frame on the entrance to Pioche when you're headed to downtown. You can see how significant this was. This is one of the largest, or the largest in the nation, aerial ore car tram system that took the ore from here and a mine that's right below it over the hillside in the distance in those aerial ore cars that you can see. Now this is the tramway, they call it, the aerial tramway. This aerial tramway operated from the 1920s and 30s, carrying ore from the mines to Treasure Hill to Gobe Mill. I believe that's correct. Godbe Mill, Godbe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was built by the Pioche Mine Company. And the tramway was mainly gravity powered with the aid of a 5-horsepower motor. And the weight of the ore in full buckets going to the mill pulled the empty buckets back to the bin. And in 1928, the cost of delivering ore via the tramway to this mill, or to the mill down the hill, was 6 cents a ton. That didn't cost very much. I imagine it was quite a bit back then, 6 cents. But by today's standards, not very much at all. You can see the workings of the big gearing there on the right, where that would pull and circle around, and those ore cars would dangle on that cable right there, and it would go through that system and get filled and take off up the hill to the left, and then downhill the full cars would help pull the weight of the empty cars up the hill. So right over here on the left on that hillside, you're going to see those ore cars dangling, and also those stanchions that are up in the air that hold that cable still to this day. So across the street, right on the other side of the old van there, you're going to see those shacks or houses. And a lot of those, it's like they're trying to redo them or restore them. But you'll see the piles of dirt where they're still digging, and where they've dug in the past as well. All those areas where they're digging to find more ore, silver, gold, whatever it may be in these hills. And this whole town, circling this town, they're digging in all the hills around here. So this is dropping right into Pioche. And one of the things about Pioche is there's a lot of old homes here, and there's a lot of new homes here as well. People remodeling, moving into town. To the right, we're going to head on in a little park that's over here. Here's the ore cars. A couple ore cars and whatever this piece of machinery would be. It almost looks like something where this would take the lead and in the mine, maybe pick up the ore and dump it back into the ore cars, or maybe it held something to help dig the mine. Not sure. It's got some valves and things there. If anybody knows exactly what that piece of machinery would be, let me know. And it just goes into a wall of rock. Okay, so not as old a building as some here in town, but this was the old Pioche Hospital. It says so right up there. The last time we were here, it almost looks like they redid that sign, because last time we were here, it was up there where it was all kind of muted out. But this was it. Kind of hard to read. It says Dr. somebody there. I can't really read it. Pioche Hospital. Erected AD. And then a lot of Roman numerals there, I guess is what it is. Kind of strange. You see how they've got the date that this was erected down there? It was a pretty good sized hospital, so I'm sure they needed this because of all the miners, and when this place was in operation, there was a lot more people here back in the day, and this was necessary. The old Pioche Hospital. No matter where you look in Pioche, there's always something that reminds you of the old mining days, and there's one of the old aerial ore cars right there alongside the street. So there's looking north down the main street of Pioche. We're going to head over here into Molly's. Looks like one of the only places that are open that I see so far. I'm going to see if they have a souvenir, refrigerator magnet or something. Seems like every time we come into Pioche, there's a lack of open businesses. It's Saturday right now, about 11 o'clock, I believe. We're going to walk right down Main Street and show you some of the businesses, some of the old places. One of those was a brothel and a hotel. And of course, there is a hotel at the bottom. It's said to be extremely haunted. All right, so acquired the What Happens in Vegas started in Pioche, Nevada. So we got the old Pioche, Nevada mug. That's pretty funny. A little play on words there from What Happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I imagine back in the day, Pioche actually had wood walkways down here as well. So there's a ton of history here. I'm going to walk out if I can to the middle of the road. See anybody or hear anybody coming. And the tall one there with the balcony on it, or patio, whatever it is, right up here, that was the brothel. And that's the Nevada Club wagon on the ceiling. But I could just see a wooden walkway instead of this cement. I almost guarantee that. Old West Town. Pioche, Nevada. It's a beautiful building right there. Look at that. I found something for free in Pioche. Free bath. Just got to figure out how to get up there. And a little neon for the Alamo Club right there. Looks like this establishment still is operating. Looks like a pretty fresh neon sign now. Don't see enough neon anymore. Love neon signs. Just don't see many. I believe the building over here called the Vault at the very end was actually the bank here in town. There's an amazing vault against the back wall. And every time we come here, it is closed and we cannot get in there to see that vault. There's quite a few old pictures right here in front of this store. 1866, the boundary was revised and Pioche was added to the eastern border of Nevada. So it was settled in 1864. And this area was still part of the Utah territory. Then up here we have eastern Nevada was the home of Native Americans. And several species of snakes, including the poisonous Great Basin rattlesnake. And that's exactly what that lady's holding up there on the right. Picture of Main Street there. Back in the day, it doesn't look much different. The cars are a little different. Still an old Coca-Cola sign there. And there's Pioche. That almost looks like that's taken in the 40s. Oh, 1950s. Serious mining activity until 1950s. So this is now the relic of a 150-year-old mining town. We made our way into I think the Heritage Center Museum. Things here, some old scales, machinery, old printing press over there, including an old wagon and some Western gear on there. This looks like an old door, metal door, some kind of a safe door or something. Maybe to a mine. Wood stoves. Oh yeah, that's the fire department bell. Now there's an old fire department at the edge of town. I bet that's the bell from that fire department. We'll film that here in a minute as well. It's a really nice old building. Look at the size of that stove. That must be like from a restaurant or something. Or if you were cooking for a crew. Printing press. I used to work for a company, newspaper. You had a bunch of old typeset newsprint gear. And they still used it too, just for to make wedding invitations and things. Looks like the inside of an old home. And then what the old bedroom would look like. Ornate single bed. And a closet that's overflowing. That kind of looks like our closet. Overflowing at home. All right, let's head back out of here and go find some more historical locations. Okay, so this is right in the middle of town. This little walkway goes up to the top part of Pioche, the top street. It has all these old gas signs, gas stations, and All the old signs for the work locations. How many days without accidents? Garage, pumps. So all the old signs. But on this side over here, old wheels, like wagon wheels. A lot of old buildings. A water wheel there. Miners' cabins. You can't get in here anymore. I thought it wasn't long ago that you could walk up here and take a look at those. But it's old-timey Western right here. I think the sign says Hilltown. Still on that little sign. Looks like they redid the steps. Last time we were here, the steps were just falling apart too. Old outhouse. Some places to stay. And I wonder if these buildings were actually in operation. I'm sure they were back in the day. Let's go take a look at those. Look how crooked that little building is. Built like a fun house. So we can't go up there and look at it from way up, but this is what it looks like from the top. And they definitely redid the stairs. It was kind of dangerous last time we came up here. Got a nice metal railing now, so if you ever get here, it's a nice safe walk to check it all out. The inside of the Overland. Well, this is just the bar location. Nice old safe. Well, that's the old bar, the original. That's where a lot of old West miners used to stand. I'm sure there's been a few fights and gunfights here, including the metal ceiling up top. It's nice and warm in here. So back behind the Overland, there's a little old miner's cabin back here. This is the overflow area for the parking. That is from the 1800s. They've patched it up a little bit to keep it going. There's a couple of them out here. There's another one up on the hillside. There's a giant white cross up on the hillside. There it is. I can't remember the name of this. This was the club. I can't remember the name that was on the front. But this was an old club or saloon. And this is the Gem Theater. Had the neon there. And that's been under construction or renovation for some time. Yet haven't been able to go in. See a water heater in front, maybe they're restoring it. And the Thompson Opera House. It's like they're working on it, doing some painting. It's a beautiful building. Let's go down there and see if we can look inside. The door's open. Maybe we can take a peek without getting in trouble. Filmed Pioche a couple of times and did some of the history, but I've always wanted to come in here.
I've been coming here since I've been this big.
Oh, excellent.
I never knew that mine shaft was there. Check that out. I was like, wow.
Look at that. So this is the actual part of the opera house is over there.
That opera house, the next door is the movie theater.
Right.
Old movie theater. And this is, I don't know exactly what they used to do down here, but upstairs is where they did all the performing. And
Yeah.
the
Okay.
and
Excellent. I heard stories about that. So this is a mine that used to come out of there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't know, maybe 60 feet.
Isn't that something? Can I just walk right there and film that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Want to film it real quick?
Oh yeah, I'd love to.
You said I don't think Corey's mine. Besides that, he won't answer my phone call or come see me. Well, you're here in town, might as well.
Absolutely. We got to go in the old school last time where the people are redoing that whole school.
The old one here?
Yeah. We got to go in there. So this is a old shaft, huh?
Might have to use his light to film it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I just never noticed.
Just don't hit your head. It's really low. I almost grazed it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily what they used to mine here.
Gold or silver, huh? Wow. You have your light on your phone? Watch your head.
Flip that switch, Paul.
What's that?
Flip that switch.
Oh, wow. So this is actually the mine that was under the Opera House then. Incredible. And that just goes. That's the end. But there's actually tracks that go back in here. Isn't that something? So they must have pulled something out of here and thought they were going back, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's that old box, just an old crate full of. Had something in there, huh? Too big for a dynamite box, I think. Right, it's dark in here. Looks like they were going off to the left. Incredible. Thank you so much. I can't believe we actually got to do this. I heard the story about it, but I almost bumped my head again. What is it?
Chips.
Oh, yeah.
Actually got some of those in the crate over there.
Oh, those are old, like, mining checks or
Yeah. There's actually Jim Theater. I don't know.
old checks from the theater? I'll be darned. Look at that.
$359.
That's a good one back then.
Yeah.
That's a keeper. Crazy. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Watch your head again. I'm sure I'll have a knot on mine big time. I hit that first bar pretty good. You know, you hit the top of your hat, you know, where the rivet is on top. Wow. Crazy. That's the one that got me. That's kind of crazy how this comes out across the floor like this.
He just did that to me. I
Oh,
I was checking it out.
that's so
Yeah,
funny.
I gotta go get Dane and show him that you right there.
Lost my door.
So this building, what was this exactly again? What building was this again?
This is the top of the Opera House.
So that's just the bottom of it then.
Yeah,
And then this just went right there. Look at those metal doors there.
yeah, I'm not quite sure. Where'd that go?
It looks like the track went.
AC or something.
Big heater or something back there. Well, I'm sure that wasn't there back in the day.
That's so funny. Look, those tracks, it almost makes me wonder if they're original or if they put them in, but it comes out of that. Crazy. Crazy. We could go up there? Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh yeah, there's more of them. Are they going to try and reopen this eventually?
They give tours sometimes.
Do they?
I don't know, somebody that would actually
Yeah.
know.
Okay. I'm going to head up there. We'll only be a second.
No problem.
Okay, so we're going up to the Opera House where they actually performed.
Oh, wow.
So here it is. Oh my goodness, look at this. I've only seen this on like one show. The Opera House. Look how beautiful that is. Backstage, and there's a stairway that goes down there as well. Old pianos and organs. The old Pioche Opera House. I don't think you can realize how excited I am to actually see this. because we've came through Pioche like 2 or 3 times. Just so happens we found somebody that would let us in. And to see that old mine that goes back through the back of the building and now see the top of the Opera House, to me is just incredible. I thought we'd never be able to do this. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, it's amazing.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Here's where the old veranda used to be, looking out over the town. Shine them on stage, and look at the old lighting up here. So there's a lot of these old miners' cabins in this area. As a matter of fact, even the street sign says miners' cabins on it, because you can see them all along the hillside. These literally were places where people lived, old tin sheds. And this one right in front of us even has an example of an old refrigerator in front of it. That one a little nicer to stay in than these little tin shacks on the hill, I'm sure. Feel better. Didn't give me the attention they wanted. They just wanted a finger. This is the back side of the old firehouse. Those dogs are still firing off. They are not happy. They don't like people visiting. That kind of takes away the old West aesthetics, but you can still see how beautiful it is. And that place is, I guess, caught on fire a couple of times and burned and been rebuilt. So who knows what originally the front of that building looked like. Similar, but different, I'm sure. Here's the firehouse. Now they're remodeling this one. Last time we could see in front, and there was still an old fire cart or fire wagon in there. But they're repainting and sprucing this one up, as you can see. And those gentlemen that let us in down there in the old Opera House, thank goodness that happened. That was amazing. You can see they were doing the roof on this and so forth, and going to make that something else. So across the street there, that building has been around for some time. I think that was just around 1900 when that was built, but that is the Mason Hall, the Masonic temple of the town. There it is, 1873 to 1973. So that's been around for 100 years as of 1973. One of Nevada's oldest buildings. You know, when you have an old mining town like this, it always seems that the Masons find their way right into it, where all that wealth was. It's a beautiful old home right here. We're on our way to the $1 million courthouse. Quite the story behind that. In this old hotel, this thing is about ready to fall down. You can see the windows are popping on it. It's sagging pretty good. But this is the Mountain View Hotel. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, built in 1895 by the Ely Valley Mines to house their guests and lay claim to such overnight guests as Herbert Hoover actually stayed here. So this hotel was actually had Herbert Hoover, hard to say that, I don't know why, Herbert Hoover stayed here. And famous authors of the Old West, many U.S. senators and Nevada governors, many of them stayed right here in this old hotel. And this place, I don't think it's ever going to be reopened. It is looking a little bit rough and unsafe. There it is, the $1 million courthouse. This courthouse was the victim of finance. And as the payments kept accumulating, as they didn't make them with the interest and everything, it ended up being a $1 million courthouse. Just off the fact that the payments weren't made for so long and the interest accrued, as the town kind of became a shambles after everything dried up. So very, very, very expensive courthouse back in the day. So the Lincoln County Courthouse, or the $1 million courthouse, originally the building was said to cost $75,000. And what happened, they were issued a bond, and over the next 30 years, new bonds were issued to pay off previous ones. By the 1880s, the county unsuccessfully tried to replicate the bonds. And in 1907, the state of Nevada passed a repayment plan for 65% of the value of the bonds. Ultimately, by 1909, New County had taken 60% of the estimated debt, and $800,000 was finally paid in 1938. So this courthouse went from $75,000 to almost $1 million to pay this off. It is a fine looking courthouse. So this is Boot Hill Cemetery. And in 1870, it said that 72 men died and were buried here with their boots on before anybody ever died of natural causes. It was said that all of those deaths were due to gunshot. People will do just about anything for gold and silver. So this is a really good example right here, right where Boot Hill Cemetery is. And all of these individuals were buried. Some of the headstones have been knocked down or deteriorated, and some have been redone. It looks like it's in a little better condition this year than it was last. But look over here at these stanchions for the aerial ore cars. You'll see the wires are still, or the cables, I should say, are still through the rollers, and those are the metal stanchions. And the ore buckets, we'll be able to get under one directly over here and show you exactly how those were operated. Very interesting how all of these ore cars went right over the cemetery all the way down to the mill. Buried with their boots on, 1871. So there's the aerial ore cars. And that's what the bucket would look like when it was full. And then when it got into the location where it dumped, you'll see the next ore car is actually open in the dump phase. So they just threw the switch on it. It would open that ore bucket up, dump all the ore out. Now the empty ore cars went up the hill and the full ones came down. And because of that weight, it helped those ore cars go up and down the hill. So the weight would pull the empty ore cars up the hill. So this marker here, last time we were here, it showed that this was in dedication to all of the Chinese migrants that worked here. So it says right there, in memory of the Chinese residents of Pioche. And it's kind of broken up. Oh, it was dedicated by one of the families here, but it's broken. But this is in memory of all the Chinese residents and workers here in the mines. John Bass shot 5 times. Well, that's going to do it for today from Pioche, Nevada, and all this history that's here. I'm standing in front of the old $1 million courthouse where it says post no bills. And until the next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades. We'll see you in the next one.